Vox has done a great job of putting together a list of demands and expectations of ISIS that they have released either through their leader, Omar al-Baghdadi, through their spokesperson, or other documents that we got our hands on that are now public that other parts of ISIS have written. And they put together this list of these expectations. Well, first, there are ones that are absurd. They say, quote, "We will raise the flag of Allah in the White House." I'm going to put that in the unlikely category, okay? Then there are ones that you get a little worried about. They say that they will conquer most of Syria, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, Kuwait, and Iraq. Israel seems unlikely, but they're already in Syria and Iraq. They've crossed the border into Lebanon once at least. I get a little worried. Okay, I wouldn't put that in the ridiculous list. Anyway, here's another one. That is a little combination of both. ISIS giving Russians access, this is the deal that they'd like to make, they've said in public, to Syrian national gas to persuade Moscow to turn against Iran and Syria, as well as to help ISIS get nuclear weapons. Now, if they have completely toppled the Syrian government, could they strike deals with other foreign countries? I suppose that's possible. Would Russia give them nuclear weapons? Doubtful to say the least. Now, for example, if an Islamic fundamentalist group had nuclear weapons, might they want to share it with some Chechens who are also Muslim and inside Russia and would like to separate from Russia? I don't think the Russians would be giving them nuclear weapons. Okay. Then we go back to fun, ridiculous parts. Just boasting here. Baghdadi says, "You will conquer Rome and own the world." Well, that would be quite a turn of events. And by the way, we're not actually 1,400 years ago. They act like the Prophet Muhammad is still around and like, "Oh, on to Rome!" Then they get there, they're like, "Why did we take Rome? Maybe we should have gone to London or New York or something." Okay, all right, anyway. Then it gets really fun. They have plans to disturb the Iranian economy. So one of those is that a document lays out that ISIS has designs on the Iranian caviar industry. Now, I know we saw him, al-Baghdadi, with a fancy watch during the one sermon that he had at a mosque, but I didn't know they wanted to take over the caviar industry. I do declare. Okay, I want to be at that meeting where ISIS is like around the table. What shall we do to hurt Iran? Let's cut off their caviar. That'll hurt them when it counts. Okay, now they're not done with Iran. They also have a plan to destroy Iran using cheap Afghan carpets to undercut the Persian market. Okay, man. Okay, that seems to be a piss poor plan. First of all, I believe there's already a lot of cheap Afghan carpets. Okay, and I'm not sure that if you undercut the rug industry, that you would destroy Iran. But look at the details at which they are planning. Like, they got the caviar, they got the carpets, they're taking over Rome. Well, they're certainly ambitious, there's no question about that. But to me, the serious part of that set of revelations is, look at how much they hate Iran. For the rest of us, they're like, we will get the White House someday. Rome, sure. For Iran, they're like, wait, let's go after this industry, and that industry, because we really hate Iran. So every once in a while, when you hear our idiot neoconservatives here in America say, yeah, ISIS might be working with Iran. No such thing. ISIS is Sunni, Iran is Shia. They hate each other. They hate each other so much, they want to even sell cheaper rugs than Iran. Can you imagine? In the Middle East, that's serious business. Okay. Oh, right, and there was one last demand that they had. Sharks, apparently, with frickin' laser beams on their heads. All right, well, that one might not be the case. As Will McCants, Brookings Institution's project director, explains, he's got expertise in the field. He says, some of these jihadis aren't the sharpest scimitars in the scabbard, which is an awesome way of putting it. Okay, but Vox, again, that wrote the list, Zack Beauchamp did a great job with this, explains what I think is the reality here. He says, look, it's best then to think of ISIS as what it is, a mix of people, some of them competent tactical officers, some ultra-violent fanatics, some wild-eyed dreamers, and a lot of people who are some combination. I think that's exactly right. So, on the one hand, don't underestimate the threat. These guys didn't take over all that land and all that territory and have all those renewable sources of income by being dummies. Some of their leadership are incredibly bright. On the other hand, don't overestimate the threat. It's not like, oh, they're evil masterminds, and once they get the sharks with the laser beams and they have the hairless cat, next thing you know, they're in Albuquerque. They're not coming to Albuquerque, okay? Bounds of reason. Make sure you understand the threat and neutralize it the best way you can by having a smart strategy. Don't be knuckleheads like some of them are, by going and saying, okay, but if we do more bombings that they're inviting us to do and kill more civilians on the ground, then they'll be really discouraged. They're not discouraged. They think they're going to take over Rome, okay? Have a smart plan. Don't make some of the mistakes that they're making.
And I think part of it is trying not to overestimate them or consider them human, because they're human. So if you say, hey, these guys are human, then how could you say such a thing? They're animals. You know what they're doing to people? Calm down. You call them humans so you can assess them correctly. They have brains, they think a certain way. They seriously are thinking, let's take over the caviar industry, because they think that's a good plan, or maybe they want to be fucking schmucks and think they can be sitting in some high-class rooms with caviar one day. They're humans, right? So if you assess them as humans, you can defeat them easier rather than going, nope, they're animals. Nope, throw them some meat. Then you're stupid now.
Yeah, see, but that's such a great point, JR, because ironically, you're not acting like a human by going, oh, attack, they're animals, we kill, yeah. Okay, they at least have some sort of strategy, whereas you're just reacting violently without a clear strategy. That only helps them. That's not a good idea. I don't know if I love or I hate the fact that on this show, we have to fairly consistently remind people, unfortunately a lot of people running this country, that everybody is actually a human being and you should react accordingly. Like they are, as the Ferengi would say, they are humans, okay? Of course they have human motivations, and yes, obviously in the group they have really smart people and really stupid people.